Good afternoon. My name is ErinNichols, and I'll be giving you a brief on how to identify op optimal residential locations for military personnel for their families in San Antonio, Texas. Here's a brief overview of what we're going to cover during this brief. San Antonio is located in Bucks County, which is in south central Texas. There are four major military installations to the north, depicted on the graph as Camp Bullis, Sam Houston in the central, Randolph to the east, and Lackland and Chapman Air Force Base to the west. Based on Esri's tapestry segmentation, here's a little demographic profile for Bucks County and San Antonio. There's approximately 2.1 million residents, and it's the seventh largest city in the United States. It covers approximately 505 square miles. And the other demographics in the slide I'll cover later in the slides. The overall project workflow involves several key steps to summarize the steps and processes involved completing in a project or task. This outlines a sequence of activities such as data collection, data processing, spatial analysis, demographics, tapestry segmentation, some assumptions and limitations, and my final results based on the spatial analysis. The first step was to collect as much data as I possibly could for in San Antonio. This data was collected from various sources such as Esri, OpenStreetMap, U.S. Census Bureau of the City of San Antonio, Open Data Portal, just to name a few. Once the data was collected, I needed to standardize the data into a format that was easy to work with. I established a geospatial database that organized the data properly, which allows the ease of access and helps analyze with data in the future. By putting this data into a geospatial database, I was able to project the data into NAD, State Plain Texas South Central Coordinate System. Now that it was organized in the correct time and space, I needed to analyze the data to make sure I was able to produce results. With downloading multiple sources, I needed to make sure that the data was accurate. I discovered that some of the data that I found was out of date versus more of the updated files. Some spatial analysis that I wanted to conduct for this project was using GIS software such as ArcGIS and Business Analyst for spatial analysis and map creation. These tools are very robust and have a lot of capabilities for handling spatial data and performing complex analysis and visualization results. Proximity analysis was measured to the distance from each residential area to the nearest essential service, including schools, grocery stores, police stations, fire departments, etc. I use network analysis to evaluate travel times, accessibility using road networks, providing a realistic assessment of proximity compared to straight line distance. This analysis took into account the actual travel path and possible obstacles, offering a detailed view of real world conditions. I used hotspot analysis to identify areas with high concentration to those essential services that I highlighted earlier. This technique and statistical method to detect spatial clusters of services enabled the identification of areas for superior access with those services. Some assumptions that I came up with during my process to help streamline the analysis. It was assumed that all the services provide a uniform quality across different locations. The network analysis is assumed that there's average traffic distance or traffic conditions, which may not actually include real world scenarios. The demand for services was uniform across the study without accounting for population density and demographics. And then potential data inaccuracies due to outdated or incomplete data sets could affect the reliability of the analysis. The focus on proximity may overlook the important factors such as crime rates, housing affordability, and environmental quality, where also crucial for picking those residential locations. The study aims to provide a comprehensive analysis of essential services, leveraging the strengths of GIS technologies and spatial techniques. For my first spot I started with private and public schools within San Antonio. Most residential areas are within 1.5 mile radius of public schools, indicating that there is a good accessibility for families with school-age children. Um, in San Antonio, there's a total of 527 public schools and 74 private schools. The way I depicted this on the map is the amount of schools within a 1.5 mile radius. The lighter colors represent a close proximity for residential locations to a school, and the darker areas represent a much further area from those schools. I next moved on to public services, specifically police and fire stations. They're approximately 2 miles from residential areas, enhancing the sense of security and emergency responses. Average conditions with most essential services can be reached within a 10-minute drive. The colors depicted on the screen represent the response times for services rendered. The lighter colors represent a quick response time, and the darker areas represent a slower response time. The assumption I made with this is for the slower response times in the built-up area in downtown San Antonio, depicting in the darker red, could be congestion or built-up traffic. Moved on to healthcare next. There's a total of 128 hospitals and clinics within the area. Residents are within a 3 to 5 mile radius to the nearest hospital and clinic, 1.1 to 2 miles before the clinics, which ensured convenient access for preventative healthcare and health issues. This could average up to a 10 to 15-minute drive. And then the colors represent the average healthcare cost for the year of 2023. For commute times within San Antonio, according to the recent Census Bureau, the average one-way commute time for San Antonio is approximately 24 minutes, which is about 3 minutes slower than the national average. The morning rush hour is from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., which traffic congestion is at its highest, it's around I-10, which is the central interstate that runs east to west, and I-35 and Loop 410, which runs from north to south. Evening rush hours is about from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. With a similar congestion as the morning. Commute times vary very widely based on transportation, time of day, and geographic location of the city. With average commute times, it's relatively moderate compared to national figures. Public transportation is available, but there is an ongoing infrastructure project that plays a crucial role in how this displays the amount of time to get to and from this and around the city. Moved on to a household owner. This is marked a little bit different with homeowner and renter race between the neighborhoods, such as suburban areas in Alamo Heights, which is in the northwest of San Antonio, Stone Oak, which is more downtown, and Dominion, which is closer to San Antonio, exhibit a higher home ownership rate, which is seating about 70%. The urban and historical lower income housing on the east and west side of San Antonio showed a lower rate, which is about 50%. There are notable differences in renting rates among neighborhoods. Conversely, the suburban neighborhoods generally have a lower rental rates, reflecting a higher prevalence of home ownership. So next I will be covering why individuals rent and buy within this area. Neighborhoods such as Alamo Heights, Stone Oak, and Dominion consistently show a higher median average, which houses are exceeding over 400,000. This is characterized by well-established communities with amenities and desired school districts. The mid-range is North Central, West Hills, and Oak Park, which range from the 200 to 300,000. These neighborhoods offer a mixed affordability and access to amenities, making them a little more attractive for individuals. Neighborhoods on the city's southern and western side, those are your low, medium home values, typically below 200,000. These homeowners often face economic challenges, but have the ability still to purchase a house. Here's a graph from Esri Tapestry segmentation. This is pulled for the Bucks County. Shows slides the housing market characteristics for those who are looking to buy a house. The reason why I show this is that for the military individuals that are moving to this area, the Army gives you a basic allowance for housing um, that is supposed to help offset the cost of your house that you want to live in. So the lowest rate for a service member would receive approximately $1,700 a month. With every increase in promotion, you receive an additional $100 for BH. These rates are approximate and subject to change by the DoD, the Department of Defense. It's designed to cover 90% of the house of your housing cost or rent and utilities for a specific area. Um, this shows the median home value of approximately 281,000, which based on the amount of money that you receive from the military and this BAH would help cover this mortgage. For unemployed population, the unemployment rate is relatively low at 4.2%. It's below the national average. The rates reflect the city's generally most robust economical and supported by key industries, healthcare, education, military, and tourism. Younger individuals and minority populations often experience higher unemployment rates compared to the group. Certain neighborhoods, particularly with a lower socioeconomic status, tend to have higher unemployment rate in these areas. And the colors here represent the unemployment rates per capita for San Antonio. For the working population, it has experienced a steady employment growth for the past decade, driven by the same factors for the unemployment rate. The growth has helped to maintain a relative low unemployment rate. Primary industries fueling the San Antonio will include healthcare, bioscience, military, defense, and tourism again. These sectors help provide a substantial number of jobs and contribute to the city's economic resilience. So the previous slides identified some socioeconomical things that military members could also apply to helping them find a location based on Fort Sam Houston, which is located in the lower right-hand corner of the map. I took all these variables and based on the comprehensive analysis, I found two ideal residential locations for optimal for military personnel to reside in. These were due to proximity to essential services, accessible to Fort Sam Houston, and overall livability, ensuring that the military families had a high quality of life and that was going to meet their unique needs. So the first one that I'd like to highlight is the blue area is called the Set to Impress, which is established by the Esri Tapestry segmentation. They're characterized by a mid to large apartment complexes to offer below average rents. These developments are typically integrated into neighborhoods alongside businesses or single family homes, creating a diverse living environment. The demographic for this area is for the age is about 20 to 30, many of them who are very single individuals. This aligns closely with military demographic, which includes a number of young single service members who don't have a lot of family or a lot of family members that live with them. In this area, 66.4% rent and 33.6% own a house. And the average household income for this area is approximately 61,000, which fits into those pay brackets for the military. The average mortgage can range from $823 up to almost $1,300, which also puts them in their prospective BAH bracket for a mortgage. The next one I'd like to highlight would be the golden years depicted in the red. These individuals approaching retirement from the military primarily consist of single living alone or couples with children who have already left the home. These residents remain professionally employed, maintain active, diverse leisure activities. This area is suited for a senior military personnel or retired veterans who prefer like a quieter neighborhood. Housing costs within this area is approximately $1,300 to $1,700, which still puts them in those senior ranking officials in the Army in their BAH range. And it's nearly split for those who own and those who rent, which is 54% who own, and there's 45.2% who rent. Usually the education demographic for this area is a little bit higher, 22% holding a graduate and professional degrees. And the median household is usually around 71,000. In summary, the geospatial analysis highlighted in these two optimal residential areas for military personnel, set to impress in goal years. Set to impress area offers affordable housing options, young demographic, and a dynamic community and proximity for ideal younger military families in the golden years, age to the senior personnel and retirees, providing higher education, balanced lifestyle, and diverse leisure activities. Both areas ensure the military families can enjoy a high quality of life while meeting the unique needs supported by the comprehensive data and insight provided by Esri Tapestry segmentation. In conclusion, the detailed methodology outlined here provides a comprehensive approach to identifying optimal residential locations for military personnel and their families in San Antonio. By leveraging GIS technology and spatial analysis techniques, the studies value insights into the spatial patterns of essential services and their accessibility, contributing to more informed urban planning and residential decision-making. The integration of multiple factors such as a proximity to military base, access to quality schools, healthcare facilities, and recreational areas present a holistic view of livability for service members. This multifaceted approach not only benefits individual families, but also has a broader implication for community development and military readiness. Ultimately, this study serves as a bridge between academic research and practical application, offering a tool that can be used by military leadership, urban planners, and policymakers to help make the data-driven decisions to enhance their lives for those who serve our country. This concludes my detailed brief on how the spatial analysis to find optimal location for military personnel in San Antonio, Texas. Pending any questions.